Hey everybody, how's it going? Thanks for tuning in to another James and Jay Dissects The Walking Dead. I'm joined by our friendly walker of James over here. Yeah, late night. They had a soccer game or a softball game over there?
Softball game. I was running a concession stand, so all the parents have to pick a night to do the concession stands, and it was my night, so after cleaning up and giving the last of the hot dogs and hamburgers and freeze pops to the players after the game, it was late. So I was like, man, I wasn't even, it was like 8:50 something when you texted me, and I was just closing up. So I'm like, nice 14-hour day.
Rough.
Yeah.
But hey, man, thanks for making it. Continuing our streak. Unfortunately, we are going to have to call that streak to an end coming up. I'll be out of town next week for work. And then the following week, you have something going on, correct?
Yes, the following Wednesday, I do have something going on. So that's 2 straight weeks. First is Jay, and then it's myself. I'm not the following Wednesday, the following Monday. I'm sorry. We both have stuff going on. So the following Monday after that is actually Memorial Day. So we're not going to be, I'm not going to be around that evening. But we'll be with you in spirit, because we'll be watching Fear the Walking Dead and then taking our notes and getting ready for a triple header, I guess you could say.
Because we'll be missing the 6th, the 7th. That means we'll catch back up at the 8th. And the 8th, of course, is the mid-season finale.
Which I actually can't wait for.
Damn. Yeah, I don't know what they're going to do. But let's not get too far ahead of ourselves.
Yep.
Yeah, that's 3 weeks away. We got to talk about this past episode entitled Laura. Could have been called Naomi too, but I guess we'll go with Laura.
Laura.
Is that even a real name? Did they ever come to decide what a real name is, or you just start calling her Laura?
So, obviously, if you didn't watch Fear the Walking Dead, you shouldn't be. I mean, you can watch this. You can watch our show. You can listen to our podcast. We invite you to do that. But you won't know what we're talking about.
Yeah.
So, spoiler warning here for anybody who did not see the show and just likes to watch us. We don't mind that either. But John Dory said that she looks like a Laura, and she didn't really respond to him. He said, "I'm just gonna keep calling you Laura then." So he didn't really ask her for her first name, and there was a reason for that. And he just wanted to keep calling her Laura. And she didn't correct him. I think they both had the assumption in the beginning that it wasn't going to be a long time, visit. It was going to be a short time stay for Naomi, aka Laura. So that's where that came about. We'll get into that more later in the show. But yeah, it was interesting. What did you think about the episode?
It was a about episode. It was telling his backstory, and I'm looking at the credits over here, and you realize, heck, it was just 2 people really, besides for a quick,
Lenny James.
There, Lenny James at the end. But other than that, it was, just the 2 of John Dory and Laura. Interesting.
Yeah, it was. I liked it because, again, you have to have those bottle episodes in there. This is the second time that Morgan is on. This time he's on the other side of a story being told to him.
Yeah.
The last time it was Morgan telling the wolf about Eason and himself and how he, found the way of peace using Aikido. This time it was John Dory telling Morgan the story of Laura. And at the end, obviously, Morgan was, at the end of the episode, Morgan was obviously the one either telling or listening to the story, which I thought was really unique. I think that I have a little bit of post-traumatic stress disorder with the Fear the Walking Dead and the Walking Dead, when they kind of like put bottle episode after bottle episode, or a bottle episode after like a filler. You know, I don't want them to get into that. You know, I don't want them to get into that routine again where you hit us with 3 straight lulling episodes. It's just, you know, when you have such a strong season at first, you don't want to just, you know, hit us with like too many of these in a row. I don't mind because this is 2. And the last episode was okay, and to me it was, you know, more people. It wasn't as much action, but you know, I think it's just me worrying about the next episode and hoping. Like,
yeah,
you know, I don't really want, you know, I don't want it to become, you know, even though they had a lot of action in the last episode, I just don't want it to be like, you know, taking away from such a strong beginning. So it's still a strong beginning, but I you know, I love these type of episodes. I think that this was like, you know, it was needed because now you got to see, you know, the backstory, and it wasn't like it dragged on 8-9 episodes to show how these two people were related. So that was a good thing too.
Yeah, but it was definitely like a pump of the brakes, a pause.
Yes,
you know, a
yes,
slow down of the current progression of the storyline.
Yeah. And like we said, we don't mind that.
Yeah.
But
I mean, John Dory is an interesting character. You know, it's something that we kind of built into, you know, getting to know him a little better. We wanted to know what his backstory was, and we got a taste of it. Yep. It was brief. It was mainly about recent past than it was necessarily about his pre-apocalypse past. But they had a great little twist there when he told her that he was a cop. I was like, oh. Okay, yeah, that makes sense. You know,
yep.
Handles guns well. You know, leadership. You know, sort of thing. And all of a sudden, he's anti-guns, and then he gives this crazy, you know, story, and it's very relevant today. You know.
Yeah. I like that too. Yeah. You took the words right out of my mouth. I'll let you finish up, and then I'll go ahead. Go ahead.
No, go for it. Yeah, I was impressed. Actually, it caught me off guard.
Yeah, and they're dealing with a lot of storylines that I noticed that Fear is dealing with a lot of storylines that are part of the world today. You know, John Dory telling, you know, Laura that, hey, look, I was just trying to shoot the guy, you know, I wasn't trying to kill him, and you know, he turned at the last second and it went right through his femoral artery, and he bled out, and he goes. And then people were looking at me like I was, you know, some sort of hero, and I just felt bad. And it was almost like, you know, obviously an assailant running from a police officer, you know, there's a line there that, you know, certain officers have to cross and certain officers don't have to cross. Mm-hmm. And it, you know, he seems like such a genuine person. He was representing those who, you know, doing what they were taught to do and cross that line innocently, not, you know, shooting somebody 16, 17 times and they're holding a candy bar or something like that. It was literally what an officer should be doing in that situation, and it showed because it ate away at him to the point where he just denounced all gun use, even in times of need, only until the very last minute. Like he was traumatized. And you know, and she's, you know, she's already in survival mode when he's kind of like, you know, he has the perfect setup. And you know, it was, I like that kind of stuff because it just shows you that they're kind of addressing things that are going on in the real world subliminally, and you know, you have to appreciate that. So that was a good point that you made, Jay. That was a very, very big part of the episode, I noticed, and you know, Jay hits it right on the head. Jay's quick to the draw, man. He's fucking good.
Just like John Dory, quick. Well,
yeah.
when he needs to, quick to draw. Mm-hmm. What else did you notice about this episode? What else caught your eye or your ear?
So we touched upon it, you know, a little bit in the beginning. When she washed up ashore, I think a defense mechanism of John Dory was not to really get too close to this woman. Mm-hmm. And in her defense, she tried not to get close to him either. That's why when he said, "You look like a Laura, I'm just going to call you Laura," it was his way of protecting himself. You know, it goes back to Walking Dead. when Rick told Carl, we don't name our food, it's food. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's kind of like when you put a name to something, you become attached. And when even though he put a name to Laura, he knew that wasn't her name. He was just saying, you're a Laura, or you're a woman. You know what I'm saying? Like, it was, I'm just gonna just consider you a Laura because you're like every other Laura that I've seen. Instead of saying what's your name and then developing that relationship with her. And she did the same thing, and they kept like finishing each other's sentences, like when they talked about fishing and when she was leaving, like they finished each other's sentences. They knew where they were gonna go. They knew that it was temporary, and at the end, they just had that that big moment where he just couldn't help himself. He was alone for so long. He's waking up every morning to a fucking fish. And he fell in love with this woman. He saved her life. She was the closest thing to a companion that he might have had in obviously over a year or close to it.
Yeah, and after not seeing another human, much less someone they're attracted to for so long, you get those emotions and they come fast. I'm sure.
Yeah, they come fast, man, and just. Wow, they had a little I Am Legend thing there where he went to rent the movies, just like Will Smith in I Am Legend. I like the fact that he utilized the store. He was very smart. He inventoried all the items he got. He's very rash. Like he's very he's detail oriented, and he's a planner. To sit and say I go shopping every Tuesday. So I don't blow through this shit. That it's a perfect way to survive.
He's a creature of habit. Just like Tuesday, he always cleans his gun. And it's just repetitive. It probably helps keep him sane too.
Correct.
And
Correct.
Chat mentions that he actually got a chance to sleep a little bit while she was there.
Correct.
He had trouble sleeping without her, but when she was there, a little more comfortable.
Yeah, and he noticed the tie-in with Morgan when he was telling him, hey, when he said to Morgan in the beginning, the first episode, why don't you just sleep? Sleep is good. And he fell asleep with Morgan in the car. You could tell that he doesn't do well on his own. Mm-hmm. And it takes, the human interaction is what he longs for. And, that's starting to, I think that's starting to attach the viewers to his character because he's becoming a favorite character now because, there's nothing wrong with this guy. You know what I'm saying? It's like, almost like Glenn-like.
I think a lot of people were expecting some deep, dark past, and it's like,
oh, this guy's just a good-natured person.
Just a genuine guy, yeah.
Yeah, and you kind of want to root for him, and I think that's the point of the show. But, Jay always says it, and I always say it. When you start to have nothing but hope and goodness about you, something is not going to go your way at the end.
Mm-hmm. For the moral compass.
And it's just like we all starting to like this guy, and I just have a feeling he might be the reason that Morgan goes back to the dark side because it's just all lining up for this.
Yep. Oh, man. One thing I did catch.
Go ahead.
Is we did have to turn the closed captions on a little bit because we were streaming. We couldn't get the sound too well. But if you turn the closed captions on, and they'll play right to the screen what's being said in the movies that they're watching.
Yeah.
And there are some meaningful. Just like we always say, they don't choose stuff at random. The movies they're talking about taking care of your neighbor. And little things like that. It's like that they choose these scenes on purpose.
Correct.
So if you guys get a chance, go back to those scenes, watch it, turn closed caption on, and no like huge Easter eggs or nothing spoilerish or anything like that. But they do tie into the current story.
That's correct. They also had another Easter egg to The Walking Dead. It's full of them. It goes back to what the governor said in season 4. When they were plotting the season 4 episode, I want to say 7, when they were making a plan to attack the prison. Before that, they were living in the trailers, and they came upon walkers. They saw them all in a ditch, and then in episode 8, he said to Lily Chalmers, he said, "Hey, look, we're not going to survive here. They'll fill the ditch." they'll climb over each other and they'll get us. And that's exactly what they did in this episode. It was, you saw what the governor was saying was true. If you get enough of these things, they don't care that they're stepping on their brethren. They're going to just keep marching forward no matter what. They're going to use the walkers that are in the ditch just as a catapult and just just walk across them. They're relentless. So that was an Easter egg that I noticed, and it was a good one. It was like, wow, the governor was right.
Yeah, the governor's not that far off from the shows, but he's just ahead of the curve sometimes, man.
Yeah.
But yeah, I guess one thing I didn't care for was when John just jumped inside the trench.
Yeah,
I know what he was thinking. It's like you're using that on purpose. You have a good high ground against them, and you just want to jump on in there.
Yeah, and I didn't care for the fact that Laura was basically surrounded by zombies. They tackled her. They were on top of her, and she did not get bitten. But Carl Grimes, that wasn't even. That was worse. Yeah. Carl Grimes never, he gets bit on the side with two walkers. This girl is covered in a trench, enclosed in an even tighter space, and nothing. And he has perfect, video game aim. It kind of made me say, of course they're gonna have this moment. They could have done something a little bit better. But that's The Walking Dead. You gotta expect that. But not much to not like about a filler episode like this. And then they tie it back to Morgan telling him, you did the right thing by telling her you loved her. And don't start having this mentality that maybe killing is the way to go. And Morgan knows that you can't, once you go that route, it's hard to come back. And just seeing them walk off together, that was a feel good moment. But just like I said, like a couple minutes ago, too many feel good moments don't always equal good in The Walking Dead. It kind of sucks because you kind of know what's coming.
Nothing's good. Nothing is going to come with it.
No. And another thing is, when you have Morgan and you know that it takes something bad for him to flip, what else could be bad for him to flip other than something happening in a John Dory? It's kind of like the writing is on the wall here. So, you just have to, you have to brace yourself. If you like this character, hopefully he makes it. But we're going to see the other half of Morgan soon. I know it. I have a feeling.
Imagine if he gives him his code there, his code book.
Yep.
And then just like Nick, but then John gets killed almost immediately after he gets the book.
Everybody who has the book has died, except for Morgan.
Shit, I'm cursing them. This book is cursed.
The book and the backpack are all cursed. So you if you have that backpack, you die, and if you have that book, you die. So don't touch the book or the backpack. It's just those aren't two good items to have in the apocalypse. Right. A keto book and a freaking orange backpack off a dead guy. So you don't want those. But yeah, man, I there's not much to talk about with a bottle episode. Obviously we're going to look forward to next week. Obviously John Dory and Morgan are going to possibly run into more of the vultures. We're going to reunite with Strand and the gang. Obviously some more flashbacks, but this show is throwing us through such loops. You kind of don't know what's going to happen, and they kind of tell you what's going to happen, but you don't know the story or the path to get there. So you know that Laura's going to die. You know that Nick died, but you don't know the path that they've gotten to you don't know how they've gotten to their death points. And I think that that's such a great thing about this season is that they're not, hey, we're not going to spoil anything for you, that much. We're going to, we're going to build up to a couple of big deaths. We're going to tell you that this person's not going to make it, but you're going to want to know how they got, you're going to want to know why, and I think that that's, the arc of this season is storytelling, and they're actually doing it the right way.
Yeah. We want to know, how they get here, or why didn't they get here? Where are they? Where the hell's Madison?
Yes.
Yeah.
So we're rolling. We're doing good. you know, it's gonna suck not seeing you guys for a couple of weeks. Got a couple of questions that aren't kind of zombie related, but they're really good questions. I want to share them, and then we could find out where Jay's head is at with this, because I will want to know these answers too. So the first question I'll let Jay answer first. What is the scariest movie you've ever seen in your life? It's a good one.
I always get freaked out by movies like Paranormal Activity.
Okay.
I
can see.
Those ones kind of got me. Especially the first one. It was just raw footage, you know.
Yep.
And all of a sudden, you know, you're watching the dark. Plus, little story here. We're watching a crazy story. We rented it. We watched it at my buddy's house. Turned off all the lights, you know, at nighttime. And then all of a sudden, I started getting his phone calls from a restricted number.
Wow.
Yeah. But you can't call my number from a restricted number. You know, you press like star whatever, and block your own number. My phone rejects it. So I'm not sure how I got these phone calls all this time, and it was just like a bunch of like static and stuff.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow, that's eerie.
Wow. Of course, no one else knew we were watching the movie.
Yeah, no, that's kind of creepy, Jay. Good job. I think some of the viewers are gonna have nightmares. Thank you, Jay.
Yeah, no problem. It's the craziest thing. Like, no one of my friends ever admitted to it. Still to this day. Yeah,
that's kind of fucking freaky, Jay. Thank you.
Yeah.
So the scariest movie I ever seen was a movie to this day, and this is the truth. I think I saw it when I was 7 or 8, and we rented from Video Galaxy. I do not remember the name of this movie, but it wasn't Nightmare on Elm Street like, but if you were in the real world and you fell asleep and you had a dream, you dreamt of your death. And when you woke up, there'd be a crystal underneath your pillow. And whoever, you know, had a bad dream and they had the crystal, they would die that death in their dream. And it was kind of like a Nightmare on Elm Street ripoff. But I just remember the end. It was like this guy thought he was getting attacked by like these like ghoulish type of monsters. And it wasn't like cheesy 80 ghouls. These were like, I just remember the looks on their face. You know, think of The Grudge and think of Kayak, who's like how she looked like a ghost. These things had like these big white eyes. There were these people that just had big white eyes. Their eyes were like popping out. And like their mouths were like open, but they looked like ghosts, but they weren't. And like I just remember that was the final person's dream. Like he thought that he figured it out, and he thought he was that he was having a good dream. And then these just people just came. Everybody who died, they were just coming after him. And like he woke up, and when he was like, you know, he tried to check under his pillow, but he knocked his pillow off at night. So when he looked, he didn't notice he knocked the crystal off his bed, but he thought he was safe. And then he went to school, and like the teacher turned around and like she had those fucking eyes, and it was just like, man, being a little kid. And the scary thing about it is I have a very good memory, especially when it comes to horror movies. I cannot remember this fucking movie, and it has plagued me my whole life as a horror movie fan. The scariest movie I've probably ever seen, I can't remember it. So just intense. Never forget that damn movie, except for its title. But question 2. Okay, so that was a good question. Scariest horror movie villain.
Scariest horror movie villain. That's tough.
Yep. Mine is 1A, 1B. But really just one. My number 1 is number 1, and number 2 is like a distant second, but still.
Well, let's hear yours. Let's hear yours first.
All right. So my number 1, I'll start with my number 2 is always going to be Freddy Krueger.
I was going to say, because Maybe not necessarily him, but just the thought of going to sleep.
Yes.
Ugh.
Yeah. And being an insomniac, knowing that your body just gives out, it doesn't matter what you do, and just the creativity to make him like this serial killer that got everybody in there. Not everybody, kids. So it was like back in the 80s, they were like, this guy is the most dangerous, villain you can ever have, because you have to figure out how to combat him in your sleep, and he controls your dreams. I think that's just, you have to really think about how to get him, and they had to be creative, and they had to pull him out of the dream into the real world. And, he just kept coming for you. And it took 9 movies to kill him. So, he's, I think he's number 2, but number 1 is Kayaku in The Grudge. Kayaku and Toshio and that cat. And then the father that the husband that went crazy and killed them all. The only reason why I say that because it fits the mold of my theory. Everybody dies. Once you're cursed, there's nothing you can do about it. You can do whatever you want. You could think that it's over. You cannot stop it. And she's just relentless, creepy, and you can't get away from it. Once you're cursed by Kayaku and The Grudge, it's over. She's the scariest, and she's the most dangerous villain ever, because there's no end to it. And it doesn't matter if you're related to her. It doesn't matter if you try to be nice to her. She's just gonna kill you. So Kayaku and The Grudge is my all-time favorite villain, because she's unstoppable.
So I think I found this movie you're talking about.
Go ahead.
Kadesha? Stones of Death.
Is it an Asian movie?
No, they look to be actors in this.
Kadesha, when did it come out?
1988.
Maybe. Kadesha.
Says something about, was there like Aboriginals in there?
No.
It says when she awakens, she finds the same crystal on her pillow. Her teacher identifies that as a death stone given to a person who's condemned to die.
Wow. Maybe. Holy shit. Kadesha? Spell it.
Yep. Kadasitcha.
You may have just solved my lifelong mystery. You got to be kidding me.
That's what I'm here for, man. Yeah, let me know if that's it. If not, I'll keep doing some research for you. But it definitely looks freaky.
Wild Dog in the Night in the Park. This is it.
Yeah.
You might have found it.
See, now I gotta rewatch it and see if it still holds up to everything I remember. Because I mean, God knows, like being a kid, everything's scarier than when you're an adult.
You gotta be fucking kidding me. What? This is it. Is this? Wow. Okay. Let me turn. All right. Let me turn this shit off. I can't watch it because we got a show to do. Okay. Wow.
So hey, this week's horror movie of the week brought to you by Jay.
Kadesha.
Give that a shot.
Wow. I'm wondering if this is it. I'm wondering if there was a part 2 because.
Yeah.
I remember I don't know. I remember it being more focused on a book, but I remember one of them being about a girl. I think it was a sequel that I saw, and I think I saw 2 movies. I'm pretty sure this was the first one, and the second one, I remember my dad bought them both. You might have found it, Jay. If this is part 1, I remember the girl being in part 1 because it said like wild dogs attacked her in the park. I remember that part, but I also remember it might have been a part 2. Wow, good job, Jay. Unbelievable. Dreams do come true, guys. Wow. Unbelievable. Well, that's that.
Right? I know James is going to be doing either tomorrow or later tonight.
Shit! I won't be sleeping tonight. Wow, unbelievable. Get the hell. Maybe I always saw the name and always thought it was just a Japanese horror or Asian horror movie. Wow.
Yeah. So, yeah.
Now it's your turn. Now I'm lost for words. Good job, Jay.
So here for horror
villain.
Horror villains.
Not zombies. That was the part of it too.
Yeah.
I was gonna say zombie number one, but I can't.
You know, I think one of my first horror movies I saw was a Freddy Krueger one. And,
there you go.
You know, if you watch back now, those things are cheesy as hell.
Yeah, they are.
But just the idea...
Part one was pretty good,
yeah.
man.
Then they start getting silly because like, oh, we got to do more. We got to do something different. You know, different deaths. And they turned one into like a cockroach. I remember that. And that was just weird. But, you know, the whole point of, you know, horror movies is so you can't sleep. I mean... What better way to do that? Saying that if you do go to sleep, you're gonna die. But I always like spirits and ghosts. You know,
there you go.
I don't necessarily believe in them, but I don't not believe in them enough to not be kind of freaked out by it.
There you go.
You know, you watch one of those things, and all of a sudden, like a light flickers, or you know, your phone starts ringing, and you get some funky number on there, and you know, weird stuff starts happening. And then all of a sudden, you're waking up and you're looking into the dark room through your doorway, and you're like, "Is that a figure? I can't tell. It's just shadows, you know, but maybe it is." Stuff like that. Kind of like that demon, something you can't see, you know.
Yeah. Anything demonic. I mean, they have this going back into history, and I have a relative, an older relative that used to try to scare the little kids and say, you know, a ghost. You know, people who are religious will believe in ghosts and demons, right? Mm-hmm. So he used to tell us, like I said, he used to try to scare everybody. And I think my dad got his, you know, love for horror because of him. But he's from the South, and he used to say, you know, ghosts and demons are for people who are religious. So if you ever do encounter that, you know, you believe in God and Satan and whatever, and you believe in ghosts and demons. So if you believe in religion and you believe in that stuff, if you ever encounter it, your belief will help you combat it. It's the skeptics that should worry because they don't have a belief in it. So their minds are, you know, they're neutral. So I don't believe in it. So if it really happens to you, whether you believe in it or not, you don't have that religion to back you up, because it's almost like religion is something, you know, a part of your life. It's something that you worship. If you don't have that to combat, this is what he used to tell us. If you don't have that to combat a ghost, and you don't believe in ghosts, and all of a sudden a ghost appears, you don't have that inclination to turn to something to help you. You just have to fight it without it. And it's just like, do you want to be that person that can't turn to a cross or something? You know what I'm saying? Like, so he scared the little kids with that shit. And I think it was all to make us, you know, go to church and,
right.
But it makes sense.
You don't be in that situation, not have God on your side.
Yeah, but it makes sense though. Think about it. You know, sure, it's going to be magnified if you're religious, but you also know that you have that to help you. But if you don't, if you're like atheists and you don't believe in it, and all of a sudden it happens, well, what you gonna do?
Right.
So, I think that was just his way of getting us to, you know, go to Sunday school and whatnot. But you know, very eerie. I love these questions. I love when I get eerie type of questions like this, like Jay's, you know, phone story with paranormal activity. You know, it makes chills go up your spine, the hair stand up on your shoulders. That kind of stuff is the stuff I live for. I love it.
Just talking about it makes me freak out.
Yeah, man, it makes you think about it. It makes you look around the room. It makes, you know, your ear, it makes you twitch a little bit. It's always good to remind yourself that you're human and that you can be scared, and you do have a fear of certain things, and that's the things that I strive for, because again, we're human. We can be as tough as we want, but when shit like that happens to you, you'll see how tough you really are. You know what I'm saying? Fucking get restricted calls and you're watching Paranormal Activity, you know,
all of a sudden you want to go into the kitchen, grab a drink, and it's pitch black in there, and the light switches on the other side of the room.
Yeah, there you go.
I'm not that thirsty.
There you go. You know, my brother. Before we go, my brother will tell you a scary story, and he's, you know, my brother Jay. You met him. He's just an even keel guy. But I used to scare the shit out of him. I used to put mask on and hide in his closet, and then I bust out of his closet when he's like comfortable and scare the shit out of him. So one night he's in the house and he's sleeping, and all of a sudden he heard somebody, you know, he heard what he thought was me coming out of the closet trying to scare him, and he saw it. He saw like something with a white face, so it looked like my Michael Myers mask, and it was above him, like trying to scare him. He put the covers over his head, and he felt the covers shaking and all that stuff. He thought it was me, and he moved the covers, and I wasn't there. He went to my mom's room, and he was telling on me, and my mom goes, "He's with your father in White Plains." And I lived in Connecticut. He's like, "Remember, he went to your father's house in White Plains this weekend." So my brother tells that story, and it's just like, you know, and the shit is crazy. So, you know, you hear that those kind of things from people who you would never expect talk about ghosts, and it kind of freaks you out. So, things like that, you know, we live for it. And, you know, just stepping outside of zombies is good too. But yeah, man, I'll be telling that story that you just told for a long time, Jay. I'm gonna say, hey, look, man, you know, you guys might not believe me, but I got this guy. He's a Marine, and this was his story. And
yeah, I got some other crazy stories. I'll save for another time, though.
Yeah, we
kid
should.
stories, and yeah, they're freaking us out. Definitely.
Yeah, man, I got tons too. But thank you so much for those questions. It was great, refreshing, change of pace to share those questions.
And let us
Really
know in the comments, you know, what are some of your favorite horror villains or horror stories, or your own personal horror stories in real life.
Yeah, definitely. And, you know, maybe if we get enough attention, we might have a show where we just, you know, a random show when we're off, where we just talk about it. You know, that could be a good idea for a show. But, you know, let us see the you know, amount of interest that there is in something like that. But yeah, great questions. As for Fear the Walking Dead, we will be taking 2 weeks off. Mm-hmm. And when we come back, we'll be reviewing episode 6, 7, and the mid-season finale.
Yeah, big show, so stick with us. We missed some announcements at the beginning, but let's catch everybody up on our website, echo5shows.com. We're a charity-driven website. 100% of all of our money, either from ad revenue or otherwise, goes towards our charity, which is currently our level 2 charity. Our goal is $1,500 to raise that for the Humane Society. You guys can donate. There are links down below on our Twitch and YouTube channel. If you can't donate, that's fine. We understand that. There's no problem with that. What we can do to help us out, though, is just to follow us on all the social medias. Find us on Twitch, Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, and especially over on YouTube. If you like this video, give us a thumbs up. If you didn't like this video, give us a reason why. Maybe we can improve on it. Subscribe to us over there on YouTube so you get updates on new videos being posting. Follow us on Twitch. And once again, we can't tell you guys to click on the ads, but 100% of the revenue from those ads goes towards charity. So do with that information as you will. On that, guys, thanks for watching. James, you got anything before we close it out?
No, just a good show. We were able to split in half and get to the questions, try to scare some of you. I found a movie that a movie title I've been looking for probably 30 years almost. I will be watching that. I'm kind of anticipating enough now to go watch it. But thank you again, Jay. That's unbelievable. But yay, he's my wingman, so he's supposed to do stuff like that. So thanks for doing your job, Jay.
Hey, no problem, man. I don't know if I'm gonna be able to sleep after our conversation already. Now I'm all hopped up. All right, man. Check out that movie, get some sleep, and
yes.
We'll see all the guys over there watching us in a couple of weeks there. The next time when James and Jay dissect Fear the Walking Dead.
Good night, everybody.
See you.